School District's work session. If we could each pause for a moment of silent prayer. Amen. Dr. Bryant, good evening.
Good evening. First, we have a presentation regarding school bond. Mr. Johnson. P3 presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So my name is Grandon Gray, and I'm with the P3 group. We're actually here in Harrisburg, Illinois, at the Harrisburg School District Central Office, and we're here because we were just awarded a school here in Harrisburg, and the district was so gracious enough to allow us to use their conference room. So we're not actually coming from our headquarters in Memphis. And so what we're going to do today, we're just going to present a presentation that allows the school board and anyone that's on the line to learn a little bit more about the P3 group and how we deliver projects all over the country. And so we have an agenda. And then after we finish the presentation, any questions or anything that the board may have, we're more than happy to answer those. So we'll go ahead and cue up the presentation now.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for having us today. We are, I know we can't see you guys. We hope you can see us. As we said, we're kind of huddled here. And we've got a small presentation to present to you guys. And our agenda for today is, we're going to tell you a little bit about who we are, what our community-based approach is, what our approach to the funding process is, and then, of course, why choose us. So we're going to start with who we are. Can you guys see my screen? I actually just realized I didn't ask that question I normally do.
Yes,
can you all see our screen?
Yes.
Yes.
You can.
Okay, great. I normally ask that and I forgot to. Thank you.
Right. And so just before I start, we condensed our slides because we didn't necessarily know how much time we had, so we did condense it. So we'll definitely go through the presentation, and obviously there's questions and answers at the end. On our goal on every P3 project is to win trust and build confidence in our commitment to service and exceeding the expectation of all our stakeholders one project at a time. And that is a quote by our president and CEO, Mr. D. Brown. This slide just shows all of our partners that make up this P3 collaborative. This is our team. The central tenet in this particular partnership is the word trust. So every public partner that we engage with, they essentially become a part of the team because at the end of the day, whatever project that they are trying to bring online is their project, but we want to make sure that our public partner is a part of that process, and trust is a part of what we do. Our team is built to minimize the financial burden and risk associated with building public projects by utilizing a proven, experienced group of collaborators, familiar with the common process, allowing us to effectively and efficiently deliver turnkey projects. We are bound together by a common belief that together we can improve underserved communities. We are as diverse as the communities in which we serve. And so here at the P3 group, this is our leadership team, and we are the developer. D. Brown is the president and CEO. Again, I'm Grandon Gray, the chief business officer. Eric Stevenson, he's here in the conference room as well. He is our Chief Administrative Officer. A little bit more about the P3 group. We were established in 2013 in Jackson, Mississippi. We're now headquartered in Memphis, Tennessee. We actually have now 11 offices. We have 9 offices in the continental U.S., 1 in Nassau, Bahamas, and we are just recently opened up a new office in the Virgin Islands. Our bonding capacity is $1.5 billion. A few notable accomplishments and achievements. Mr. Brown sits on the Forbes Real Estate Council, where he provides expert and tactical advice around public-private partnerships. He recently inked a deal with Forbes to co-executive produce a podcast that's going to be broadcast on various media outlets. And the name of that podcast is The Sky's the Limit Beyond the Deal. And in that podcast, he'll explain and give his viewers and also his guests the opportunity to talk about public-private partnerships and how they're impacting communities all across the world. He's considered one of the leading experts on P3s, as he was an expert presenter at Prairie View A&M University of the Business Conference, the Delta Grassroots Conference, and the Arkansas Association of African American Mayors, to name a few. In 2019, the Mississippi Development Authority named the P3 group a Mississippi Success Story.
My name is Kyle Culverhouse. I'm president of the Core Building Group, and I had with me Sarah Norman, my teammate. We serve as the owner's rep and the program manager, and have served in that capacity for the P3 group for the last 4 years. So Core Construction is a nationally recognized construction management and program management firm. We've been around since 1937. We have offices over 20 states. We do projects from Washington State all the way down to Florida. We do K through 12 is our primary focus. We are currently the number 5 rated K through 12 builder in the United States. We've done almost $5 billion worth of K through 12 projects on 1,800 different campuses. We're currently headquartered in Frisco, Texas. We have about 1,200 employees, and we are fully prepared to serve. We, again, K through 12 is what we do. We understand working for school districts. We understand, the importance of safety, schedule, and budget. And we appreciate the opportunity to present today.
Chasm is our architect of record. Nathaniel Clark is the managing partner. Don Lawrence is the director of operations. A little bit more about Chasm. They are currently headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. They have completed over $3.5 billion in projects that range from K through 12 to colleges and universities, HBCUs. If you've been in, I don't know if any of y'all have been in the Atlanta airport recently, the canopies that are overhead there in the terminals, Chasm was actually the architect of record there. They were established in 2005. They have 3 offices, Atlanta, Baton Rouge, and New Orleans, and they have staff that are spread all around the country. And so we appreciate their partnership and that relationship. On the finance side, we have Municipal Capital Markets Group. Municipal Capital Markets has served as our investment banker and bond underwriter since 2017. Dan Adjanaski is the managing director. MCM was established in 1989. They're headquartered in Dallas, Texas. They completed over 2,100 projects. They have 2 offices. The other unique thing about Municipal Capital Markets Group, they allow us the ability to be able to finance individual projects upwards of $150 million. $150 million. So that is another benefit that they bring to us in how we're able to provide these services to municipalities and school districts. On the legal side, we have Gil, Reagan, and Owen with Hearts of Reagan III. They serve as our corporate bond counsel. Gilbert and Norm was established in 1978. They're in Little Rock, Arkansas. They have 26 associate attorneys. Our national bond counsel is Ice Miller. Ice Miller was established in 1910 with 340 legal professionals. They service over 125 government agencies and nonprofits. They have 7 offices around the United States, and the individuals that you see there on the screen, they are located in the Columbus, Ohio, Indianapolis, Indiana, and Chicago, Illinois office. Insurance and bonding, the South Group, the Evans Agency, Maurice Evans is the managing principal, Reginald Thompson is the producer. South Group was established in 1905. They're headquartered in Jackson, Mississippi. They have over 150 employees with 23 offices across the United States. For energy solutions, ProStar Energy Solutions, this was a company that was created and founded by a gentleman by the name of Jerry Jones, who owns the Dallas Cowboys. Brian Black is the Chief Business Officer. Denver Williams is the Director of Business Development. ProStar was established in 2009. They're in Frisco, Texas. They completed over 10,000 energy optimization projects. So we're excited about this new partnership and the services that it would allow us to bring to school districts such as yourself.
So my name is Eric Stevenson, I'm the Chief Administrative Officer, and I'm going to talk through the community-based approach. So our mission is to utilize public-private partnerships to provide social and public infrastructure to underserved communities. Our strategy is to minimize the financial burden and risk associated with building public projects while maximizing the benefit to the community. We do this by combining a proven and experienced team partner with local resources to efficiently deliver our turnkey projects. Our focus, of course, is student housing and educational facilities, government facilities and infrastructure, urban renewal and redevelopment, solar and renewable energies. This is likely one of the most pivotal slides in our presentation. One of the things we wholeheartedly believe is that these community buildings need to be built by the community. Our approach enables us to combine resources of national firms with local community-based companies. By using qualified industry experts combined with the local contracting community, our team inherently provides best value to the public sector. And so we do this through directly using local subcontractors. Again, it keeps the public money local, it creates job opportunities, and it also enables cost efficiencies. Lastly, it enables checks and balances for further cost control. We're very ecstatic and proud that our monitoring makes sure that 85% of the construction value stays within the local community. We're going to talk through the funding process. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, so with our financing approach, we essentially deliver turnkey design build finance solution. And we do that with Municipal Capital Markets being our investment banker. We have the same powers as a school district or a municipality where we have access to the capital bond market. Where in a lot of cases, we get competitive interest rates just like a municipality or a school district, and in some cases we can access better interest rates. So through that, we do tax-exempt lease purchase financing, which is secured by real estate assets and project revenues. But at the same time, the public entity maintains control of the facility. And anytime we come into situations with school districts or municipalities, our goal is threefold. We want to define a program of projects using a holistic and collaborative approach. And we're able to do that because we actually sit down with the school district and understand exactly what outcomes they're trying to reach. And then secondly, we develop resilient, sustainable, and transparent solutions. Transparency is something that we pride ourselves in. And then thirdly, we empower the local community to implement the solutions through technical assistance, education, and capacity building for small and medium-sized businesses.
So one of the things that we do as an integrated design build finance team is we have the ability to influence cost on the front end, the high influence of cost on the front end of the project illustrated by this curve. During the planning and design phase of any type of project is when you can influence the cost of a project. And so by approaching these projects as an integrated team, that means that our general contractor, subject matter expert, our designers, our engineers, and of course our public partner are sitting at the table establishing a budget and bringing that budget to fruition through design. And by doing that, we are able to influence that cost and keep it within budget with zero change orders. It also enables us to bring the project to market in an expedited fashion, because we're not having to go out and do this in silos, where we've got a design team working in one silo, a construction general contractor working in a silo, and then going out for public bid to other. What we're able to do is we're able to integrate the process to where we're able to design and estimate throughout that planning process, and therefore compressing that time. And so once we put shovels in the ground, we are ready to go for the budget that we set forth at the beginning.
And if I could add, I mean, really probably one of the most advantageous points of our process is speed to market, because time is money. Every year that a project is deferred, generally, equates to about a 4% escalation cost. Sarah and I flew into St. Louis today, drove past the St. Louis Arch, 640 feet tall, was built in 1967 for $18 million. And I think that really captures it pretty well. The quicker that you can build something, the cheaper it is, and our speed to market is probably one of, again, our greatest advantages.
So, okay. So why choose us? So many of the assets that we provide is there is typically no public referendum required in this process. Our ability to pledge special revenues as security for the lease obligation. There's no upfront cash outlay on behalf of the school district. The payments can be structured so whether it's affordable for the school district, so there's control in that capacity as well. Construction can start in as little as 90 days. Because of our integrated process, we're able to expedite that timeline, kind of like Kyle just mentioned. And as Sarah mentioned, our developer-driven delivery results in lower costs and certainly costs. And again, most of the payments don't come to bear normally 6 to 12 months after. So you have a little bit of time to adjust and build the coffers, if you will. Lastly, our quick delivery method creates a hedge against inflation. Again, being able to capture the opportunity fast, get it built and go to market is important, especially as conditions change rapidly. Construction risk is transferred to the private sector. We take the risk on the front end. The private sector takes the risk. We complete the project in an integrated fashion, and then we turn it over to you. It's lower interest rates because we can go to the market, such as municipality, and oftentimes deliver better rates and lower project cost delivery overall. And most of all is dedicated client service to make sure that you are at the table with us, making sure that we design something and build something that you want to have. Those are the reasons why we feel you should choose us to serve you. Now we have the question and answer period, so please feel free to ask any questions that you might have at this point. And thank you for allowing us.
Good afternoon. This is Rashawn Bailey. Thank you again for the presentation. I certainly appreciate the information. But can you speak to the public-private partnership in regards to the financial aspect of it? Who actually owns the facility? Typically, how long does it take to pay off? on whatever debt there is. I would assume that would be based on the amount of debt, and what that, process looks like.
Okay, so I think I heard everything you said, so if I missed something, just let me know. So obviously this is a tax exempt lease transaction. So so essentially what we do is the P3 group sets up a special purpose entity so that it shields us away from the transaction. And so that special purpose entity is set up where the school district would submit payments to that entity. The school district would actually function within the school buildings as if it was yours. So just think about it as you're in a house and you're paying a mortgage, but the house is yours. So, we're not gonna come in and live in the house or, just, come in and visit when we don't supposed to. That's not what we do. In terms of the financing, it just depends on the goals of the school district. Typically these transactions can be structured where it's a 15, 20, 30-year transaction. We've had situations where we've had clients that, they had special situations in terms of they had maybe an influx of revenue where they wanted to pay off the debt as early as maybe 10 years. So our finance team was able to structure the interest rates where it was more advantageous for the public entity. And so they could essentially be able to pay the debt off in that period of time. So those are the type of discussions that if we were to officially engage with your school district, we sit down together and we lay everything out in a transparent manner. We look at your financials. Our team gets an understanding of where you are, and then we have a team of lawyers where you saw earlier where we structure the transaction where number one, this transaction could close, but secondly, it's not a burden to the school district and ultimately the community. So that's typically how we are able to accomplish that. Does anyone else have anything to add? Or?
Well, one key to add there is there's a trustee that's kind of the inner buffer there, and what he talked about. So the trustee is in place as an intermediary, so the payments can be made to the trustee on behalf of the special purpose entity. So there's no there's not us in between there. There's the special purpose entity is buffered by the trustee as well.
Yeah, the special purpose entity holds the asset, and then after the duration of the term, whichever that's determined, the asset transfers to the school district for usually a $1 transaction.
Thank you. And my next question, Madam President, if I may, can you briefly just tell us about some of the K-12 designs or building projects that you've undertaken? What those amounts look like, what those projects may look like, and how, you receive input from the community or the school district to design those projects.
Yeah, so hey, we appreciate that question. And again, we didn't know how much time we were gonna have. We could have literally flooded this presentation with designs and amounts with, from ourselves and our partners. We're actually speaking to you live from Harrisburg School District. They're looking to do a pre-K facility, and so that's one of our new developments. But I'll also let Kyle Culverhouse, president of Core Construction, I'll let him speak to that as well, particularly about their experience in the K through 12 space.
Yeah, again, K through 12 space is our primary market. We are the 5th largest K through 12 general contractor in the United States. We do, anywhere between, roughly about $500 million worth of K through 12 construction across the United States every year. So we've seen every shape, form, and whether it be new construction, remodels, historic remodels, repurposing, refurbishments. Bringing 100-year-old buildings up to 20th century education design standards. There's not a lot that we haven't seen. Every project is unique. We understand that. But we are probably uniquely situated to be able to sit down with you, the end user, being able to understand, the common end goals that we're trying to achieve, and be able to work within, the framework that you provide, whether it be, the safety of an occupied campus and or utilization of an existing site. Sarah, you got? Yeah.
I was just going to say, I know that you asked specifically. I think what the team wants you to know is that the project is yours. So we want to come in and understand what your need is and what you are looking for, so that we can establish that budget with you and also establish that program with you. So if there's a consolidation that needs to happen, as Kyle was saying, if there's an occupied campus that we've got to swing students, things of that nature, we would work all of that out for you. But to give you an example, we are speaking to you from Harrisburg, and so the pre-K building's fresh on my mind.
Right.
And so to just give you an example, the pre-K building that we're designing here is a 15,000 square foot building. The total construction hard cost of the building is $3.9 million, which averages out to about $260 a square foot. So again, that's just that's all in. In a union city. Again, we're in Harrisburg, Illinois. So, but I know you asked specifically for that, and I just want you to know we don't take projects from another place and try and put them in your hometown. We want to understand your school district's need, what your operational needs are, what your current inventory is, what needs to happen with your current inventory, and really customize the program for you. And that's kind of what this team normally does, but I hope that somewhat gives you an answer to your question with regard to our experience and capability.
And if I could just add, we understand the brick and mortar, aspect of a school is not, it doesn't end with that. The program is really the important thing, making sure that brick and mortar, that school is a usable tool to implement the program, for the faculty, the staff, and enhance the environment for the students. We understand that, and as Sarah said, we sit down, we try to understand the program and make sure that building is a tool to be able to implement that.
Thank you.
Madam President, if I may, thank you all again for your time this afternoon, this evening. Can you please provide some discussion points in regard to time frame for expedited building? I know earlier you stated, I was just wondering if you could give us examples of expedited processes that you all have experienced.
Whole process. Yeah. I'll take that and run it. If anybody wants to add on, they can. I'll say that currently, as we kind of said, we're in Harrisburg, Illinois, delivering a $4 million roughly pre-K building, and we have a 75-day design period where we want to be in the dirt. That is extremely expedited. But it really depends on whether it's a new build, whether it is a remodel, whether, just what the project is. But our history, again, we bring a collaborative to the table. We work extremely well together. We understand the process, and we understand the demands that, that we put on really one another to be able to deliver. We've delivered other projects in 89 days, 117 days. So when we say it's expedited, again, one of the, being able to get that speed of market is we can do that. Now, if we have to do a performance type, project where we go in, we do an energy audit, and we're trying to take an existing facility and bring it up, from an energy standpoint and try to realize some efficiencies there. That's a different process. However, we can expedite that as well. And we can have a preliminary, groundwork that could be laid out really in a matter of weeks. So, just kind of be able to create the framework and then move forward.
With no cost to our public partner.
With no cost to the public.
Where we come in, we do that energy audit, we assess the existing conditions of all the different assets that the district has. We can perform that energy audit and provide feedback to our public partner within weeks, very honestly, is how we've been working with our partners.
Yeah, and not knowing, the district's needs specifically, item by item, I could almost make a guess, just having worked with them, that the needs are probably multifaceted, right? There's probably deferred maintenance that needs to be addressed. There are some energy savings that could be realized. There are additions to the master plan, that would make up that part of that wish list. We can look at it from a holistic standpoint of, being able to realize energy savings, from one bucket and utilize that to the master plan. We don't have to, just do one. We can take a look at everything and actually try to be able to create revenue streams where there weren't any, to be able to, kind of cover that gap. That's one thing that another thing that we bring to the table, I suppose, is our flexibility, our creativeness to be able to address, the issues that are, quite honestly, they're there for just about every school district in some shape, form, or fashion.
Yes, ma'am, I do have one more question, Madam President. How many historic remodels have you all experienced?
Many.
Okay.
I
I
can't even give you the number. I was part of the DC public school modernization program in Washington, DC, and I personally worked on about 7 schools there over a period of 10 years. Kyle has multiple historic renovation over.
And I personally headed up the recovery school district after Katrina. We were doing historic refurbishments and remodels to schools where we were the general contractor. So I've personally been the project executive on almost 10 just in that program alone.
And also I can speak to our design team with Chasm. I know Don Lawrence, who his picture was on the profile. I know that he's specifically been involved with a number of historic renovations and projects in terms of school districts. They're in Georgia. So that's just another
Chasm did McDonough 42.
They did, okay.
In New Orleans.
In New Orleans, right.
We've taken a preliminary look at your existing inventory of school buildings, and we've kind of assessed that they'll make the age of the buildings. I think in one category the average age is about 65 years. So we've taken that into account as we approach this, and that's not outside of the realm of things that we've experienced and dealt with in the past. So we're well aware of the scenario.
Yeah, we actually did there was a prototype historic school that was designed by E.A. Christie back in the 1917 to 1930. And it was pretty much the same school that was built differently 4 different times. From triple whites to wood to concrete to, it was actually pretty interesting. It was literally the structure and the building components were different every time we went in one.
Right. And I'll say, and this is, I guess, to kind of end this part of the discussion, and I just want to make this known. One of the things that's near and dear to our heart is just the fact that we understand that oftentimes the school is the pulse of the community. I come from a small Arkansas Delta town, so I've seen various towns where the school is not there, and I've seen what it's done to communities. And so, my colleagues here, the work that they've done, Eric, he's from Mississippi as well. So that's something that, we've actually, we've looked at just some preliminary information on your school district. So we do understand. And so that's one of the reasons why potentially engaging with your school district is so near and dear to us is because we can actually see how this can impact families, how this can impact students. The teachers and administrators, being able to walk into the halls and having a sense of pride that they don't have to go into a room where there's no air conditioning, or the power is out, or there's a leaking ceiling, or
This is what's one of the things you just talked about.
Right. So these are all the things that are near and dear to us, and that's what drives us. And I know Eric talked about the sense of community on one of the slides, but that's not just a slide to us. Like, that's a real tangible thing. So I just wanted to just make sure I drive that point home.
Okay, so my question is, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, depending on what direction the board wants to go, the board and the administration, what would be the next step?
As soon as you guys email us or call us, we would schedule another meeting and we would, pretty much just go from there. It's as simple as that.
What we would provide to you is a copy of a developer's agreement so that we could formally engage with your districts, and we can actually send you a copy of that up front for you to look at. And then within a week of execution of that, we are sitting with you, hopefully in person, and talking through your program and your needs, and really starting to understand your need and for your school district. And at the same time taking notes and hearing you, and then working to deploy a plan on how we tackle your needs.
Yeah, and also I'll add this, just to kind of bring Harrisburg School District back into this. We had our first program session with Harrisburg last week, and this is what today? What is today? I forgot.
I don't even know.
Wednesday. We just all our team just drove up here to have an official site visit and visit with some local general contractors and some other contractors and meet with the superintendent. So face to face.
Yeah.
So this is what we do.
Totally responsible.
Yeah,
All the existing, some existing facilities, find out what works, what doesn't work.
Right.
What would they change? Again, 75 days. We have a race to the finish on this one.
Thank you for that, and I think we can all attest to being appreciative of you all using local contractors so that we can keep some of that money here at home.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
That's the intent.
Okay, this will be the last question. Off the top of your head, do you know of any schools that you built or done any remodeling to in Memphis, Tennessee, South Haven, Mississippi, or Jackson, Mississippi?
I haven't done any in those locations.
I can say, it's not a K through 12, but
I was going to say we've done higher ed.
Yeah, we've done
in
higher
Memphis.
ed in Memphis with Lemoyne on.
Okay.
With their the last student dormitory that they built, Chasm Architecture was actually the architectural record for that.
All right, I went to Lemoyne on. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Pastor Chris Davis is the current board chairman. He and I lived in a little small Arkansas Delta town. We've known each other for years.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we appreciate you all taking your time out. We've exceeded our 30-minute presentation.
Okay.
We promise you, we're gonna get with Dr. Brown this evening and see what direction we're going in. And I
Okay.
promise you she'll be contacting you, okay?
Hey,
Thank you so much
thank
for
you
your
so
time.
much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your
Hopefully we
time.
answered all of your questions, and
If
we're
you
here.
have any other questions, please ask.
Absolutely.
Please send us
Should you
an
have
email.
any follow-ups after this, please, our emails, phones are open, so welcome the questions.
Appreciate your time and the opportunity to help.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
All right. God bless y'all.
Dr. Brown.
Next, we have a presentation from Dr. Teresa Webster, Early College, Mississippi, Delta Community College.
All right, we may be up next. bore you with all these details. I'm gonna be really quick and just kind of hit the high points. We do not have an established early college right now, and we would love for you to be the first one. How about that? But what is an early college? An early college is usually established at an off-site location. What we were thinking was we have room on our Moorhead campus for the establishment of an early college. What the students do is they start their freshman year of high school. We would take about 50 or 60 as a cohort, and those students would go to college, they would go to high school, like on the Moorhead campus. You would have teachers there on the Moorhead campus. You would have a principal on the Moorhead campus. Basically, you would have a satellite location. But in the freshman and sophomore years, they would take like one course per semester. So we would start them off in baby steps. But each year we would take like 60 more students across your district. It would be open to all of the students in your district. And how you did that would be up to your district and how you selected your students. But anyway, I did want to cite this report right here. It says just after 4 years of high school, the control group that had early college, 21% of them completed a bachelor's degree, those that went to early college, versus 11% who did not. So you can see your odds go up tremendously when they are ingratiated with college at an earlier age. But anyway, a little bit more about that. First of all, we would have to enter into some kind of memorandum of agreement that both of our attorneys would agree on. Next, these are the stated requirements by the state dual enrollment procedures and policies manual, and we would have to abide by those. Then you may ask, how in the world do they get a high school diploma and an associate degree at the same time? Y'all, that's the ultimate goal, is that they cross your stage and get a high school diploma, and then they cross our stage, and at the age of 18, they have 2 degrees in hand. That's the goal. The way that happens, I don't know exactly on your end, because I don't know K-12. But I would think that like our college algebra would substitute for one of your high school algebra classes. And it's incumbent upon y'all to establish the dual credit. I just look at it from a dual enrollment standpoint. But we would transcribe that on a Mississippi Delta transcript. So it would be college credit for them. But again, you would handle how that looked on your end. And then you may ask, these are young kids. What would their schedules look like? Their freshman and sophomore years, they would probably take, I've got it figured out, one course per semester. And then the rest of their day would be filled with high school courses. And y'all, we're not gonna start them off with rocket science, okay? You know, maybe some courses that will help them improve their study habits. We would get them with courses that would get them going. We don't want to defeat them right out of the gate, you know. We want to build them up and set them up for success. So we're not, Ms. Abraham, we're not going to put them in A and P in the 9th grade. So we would build that gradually, and then their junior and senior years, most of you have college degrees, we would give them 12 or 13 hours a semester, depending upon when they took that lab science. And that would graduate them with 62 credit hours, which is half of a bachelor's degree, and would allow them to complete their associate's degree with Mississippi Delta. Let's see, transportation, that would be incumbent upon your district to get them to the Moorhead campus. And will it affect scholarships for these accelerated students? No. According to the state policy, the state policy, P&P on this, it will not adversely affect any student's ability to receive any kind of scholarship to another university once they finish with us. Always with a community college, will these courses transfer? Now, I would like to say yes 100% of the time, but it's going to be up to the university where the student is going. Personally, when I was a student there a jillion years ago, I was looking at that Delta State catalog the whole time from my freshman year. And I was making sure that whatever I took at Mississippi Delta aligned with whatever my degree said at Delta State. So that's, comes with good counseling and just staying on top of that. Also, I don't know if y'all are familiar, we have something online called the Mississippi Articulation Transfer Tool, and it will show you what accounting, say at University of Mississippi, whether they take our accounting or not. And it's a great software tool that will allow you to look at that. But again, the university you transfer to has the final call on that. Usually we have no trouble out with that. The cost for the early college, we would have to be blessed by our board and all that, but right now the rate that we are offering, because your students would only be taking 3 hours a semester in the 9th and 10th grade, would be our part-time tuition rate. And their 11th and 12th grade, since they would be taking 12 to 13 hours, they'd be full-time students with a full-time tuition rate. And of course, there are other fees and all that would apply, and of course, textbooks. And also, I did not add on here, if your students are going to be with us all day long like they are at your high school, we could arrange a meal plan of some kind as well to make sure they're fed as well. I do want to go ahead and I don't write much, I promise to be fast. I do want to mention middle college, okay? I've mentioned early college. I'm a real big fan of middle college. What that is, they will start in their junior year with us, okay? And I have proposed, I know to another school district, you could drop them off at our campus, even here at Greenwood. Drop them off at 9:25, let them take 2 courses every day, Monday through Thursday. They're there till 12:05, then take them back to your district for lunch, athletics, whatever, and they have 12 hours a semester. Now, it gets a little trickier to get it done in 2 years. They might need to take a summer school class or 2, maybe a Christmas interim class or 2 to get that goal of 62 hours. But, you know, they're mature at that level and all of that, but I'm a real big fan of that. But I just want to remind you that MDCC is here for your continued dual enrollment needs. We appreciate your relationship and your business there with dual enrollment. We want to continue that. We, for 3 years, have offered a counselor's workshop that y'all have been graciously sending your people to, and I think they've had worthwhile days when they come for that. We give them CEUs for attending that. So we plan to continue that relationship. And please, let us know of any ways we can strengthen our partnership, and especially reaching out to your seniors. Any way that we can reach out, we'd be glad to. And one final thing, I would be remiss if I did not mention Phi Theta Kappa. I know Ms. Abraham can attest to that as well. Phi Theta Kappa is our honorary fraternity. Here's the deal for you who are parents out there. If you get into Phi Theta Kappa while you're at a community college, man, the scholarships are out there when they transfer to a university. I know my daughter, we didn't end up paying tuition at Delta State. She now works for your district. I don't know if y'all know that. But she works in your district, and, you know, we did not pay her tuition when she left Mississippi Delta and went to Delta State. So not all of them are full tuition, but man, if they get Phi Theta Kappa, that's a feather in their cap and the parents' pocketbook because there are opportunities out there for money. Okay, do y'all have any questions? I tried to run through that.
I think this is a great idea, and you mentioned that you didn't have one this year. Was it due to COVID?
No, we just haven't gotten a foot off the ground. I've talked to other districts too. A lot of people are interested. And I might mention here, I do understand I'm not the K-12 entity here, but I do understand that y'all have to make application to be, is it accelerated or District of Innovation? I can't remember what it's called. And I believe that's due like December 1st, something like that. But that's none of my business. I just want to throw that out there. I think y'all have to make an application for that.
Any other questions, board members? Okay, Ms.
Madam President, thank you for being with us. I do know previously that we had some discussion about this. Is there any particular reason that those efforts fell through or were not?
None of Mississippi Delta's in that I know of.
Okay.
I do not know of any. I was not made aware of any.
Okay. And my second question, you mentioned scholarships.
Yes, sir.
So if a student participated in this program and graduated with dual degrees, an associate, technically they would not be eligible for a freshman award if they're transferring to four-year institution, correct?
Yes, sir. All I can tell you is that the State of Mississippi Dual Enrollment Procedures Manual says that it should not adversely affect them.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you are so right. I had a son who was pretty smart, left here in Greenwood, went to Mississippi State, but after that first year, even though he had great GPA, no scholarships. So those freshman ones are very, very important.
Thank you.
I understand your concern.
Ms. Adams.
Ms. Webster, it's always good to see you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
appreciate this wonderful job you do with the policy and instruction.
Thank you.
Is it possible still right now, if somebody's just in dual enrollment, are there enough offerings that they right now to get the AA degree, or it's not that concentrated?
Yes, ma'am. We do not offer that many to dual enrollment students, and y'all know the buzzword SAC-COC, right? We limit it to up to 7 hours per semester. We have to keep our threshold at like 25% of the degree, or we have to write a big old SACS prospectus, and we don't have the personnel to do that for every school in our district. So just 7, but there are special exceptions for early college.
Well, that would be good, because that would benefit the students. That was
Absolutely.
basically what I was getting at, that the students would benefit from being in that. You could offer it in a concentrated manner
Yes, ma'am.
and control what's offered.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am. Any other questions?
No, ma'am, we appreciate your time, okay?
Thank y'all. Thank you for
ma'am.
having me. Thank you for the invitation, Dr. Queen.
Dr. Burns.
Dr. Pulley, would you like to share, just to share our efforts to, as we work with the Mississippi Delta Community College staff to get into the partnership regarding early college?
Yes, ma'am. I do definitely appreciate Ms. Webster. We've had an opportunity to work with Ms. Webster for quite some time, and she's very thorough and does an outstanding job. We definitely appreciate that partnership. We've been in communication with Ms. Webster and with Dr. Jackson, president at Mississippi Delta Community College. And some of the fees that we've discussed and that they've agreed with assisting us with, she mentioned it, one was the meal plan. It would be a little bit difficult for us to transport our students to Moorhead and then, get them for lunch, and then, so just in speaking with the community college president, we spoke on several occasions, and he assured me that if we get that ball rolling with early college, then they would definitely assist us with lowering costs for meal plan. Also, we spoke about the instructional supplies. Of course, we have to we would have to pay for our teachers and administrators who would support this particular program. However, he assured us that as it related to things that MDCC could assist us with, including some instructional supplies, such as some of the textbooks, that they would definitely be willing to do that. So moving forward, our next steps is that we're going to strengthen the application by having community awareness meetings. Now we could probably, when we had the conversation, we were talking about virtual meetings, but that could possibly be a different type of setting now, just hopefully due to some better COVID data. But definitely the president and Ms. Webster have both agreed to join us as we are communicating this effort with our parents to raise awareness of what early college is. We want to make sure we give our parents the best information possible so that we will definitely have many students interested in entering those programs. And so we're going to, of course, we did begin state assessments this week. But in speaking with the community college president, we're going to create a schedule after that to increase awareness for all 3 of our high schools so that we can participate in it.
Board members, we also, we requested to speak with a representative from the Foundation for the Mid-South. Dr. Ivy Allen was planning, however, her mother passed this past Sunday. So I just wait on her to reach back out to us. But just want to make you aware that she was on board to come and speak with the board about support and partnership. Next, we have, well, in your package, you have monthly reports from our district's principals and chiefs. We have the principals online for any questions, board members.
So, board members, for the sake of time, because we had so many business tonight, let's just do it school by school, and if you have a question, you just hop out there. So the first one that I see will be Amanda Elsie High School, and that's because it was behind our agenda packet. It's on page 4. If you have any questions for Amanda Elsie High School, and that will be Miss Roy at this time. It's on page 4. It's behind, like, yeah.
Question number.
Go ahead, Dr.
Good evening, Ms. Roy. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
All right. I like your background. I see several of you all in the same place. So
We are.
So for number 6, just speaking about the challenges that you're facing, you mentioned using different online platforms such as Nearpod, PureDeck, and BoardWorks. I have no idea what those are. Can you help me out a little bit?
I can. So we actually had a training today with Nearpod from their representatives. So Nearpod is an interactive program that you can, let's say for instance, are you familiar with PowerPoint?
Unfortunately, I am.
Okay, so are you familiar with Google Slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if I log into Nearpod, I can create a slideshow in Google Slides and I can make it interactive. So I can have a text item or a formative assessment question. I can place that question in Nearpod. I can create, I can click make interactive, and once I make it interactive and I open it up in Nearpod, I can give my students a code and they'll take them directly to the PowerPoint slide or the Google slide presentation. And that way I can look at, once they select their answers, I can see which students chose what answer. I can see how many got it wrong. I can see the data immediately. As soon as they put it in, I can see who is engaged. I can see who's not engaged. I can see who's on task and who's not. So it can also be linked to YouTube teaching videos. There are many resources already in Nearpod. They have a whole library full of resources, and everything is really student interactive and teacher interactive. So you can create teacher-led assignments, and you can also create student-led assignments as well. And PureDeck pretty much works the same way as Nearpod. It's just a different platform. But with BoardWorks, it's similar, and it's something that the district just recently purchased for us. It's similar. It just doesn't provide that data as quick as we can get it from Nearpod and PureDeck.
Thank you much, ma'am.
Anybody else for Ms. Roy? Go ahead.
So, Ms. Roy, how many students have returned back to your campus?
Well, we have a total of about 37 who had planned on coming back, but we've only had our max number on any given day has been 6.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
One quick question, Madam President. Good afternoon, Ms. Roy. Good evening.
Good evening.
I noticed here on English 2, it says all growth 74%. Discuss low growth.
Okay, so low growth is pretty much your bottom 25% of your students. So what we did was, because we did have data from our 10th grade students on their 8th grade test scores, So that is how the low growth is calculated from that bottom 25% of those test scores, that group of students right there. So 62% of those students who fell in that low growth category actually met growth for that assessment.
Okay, out of that percentage, what is the population number? Do you have an exact number for that particular population number?
90, I think there are 92 students in the 10th grade, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
If y'all don't mind going to page 11 and let's see Mrs. Bush at Davis Elementary next. Davis Elementary, any question, board member?
Mrs. Bush, I would like to know.
Yes, ma'am.
You have, you indicated on here, you have, 201 students absent for the.
Yes, ma'am.
For the month of March. What are you doing, what are you doing about that?
Okay, well, I'm gonna break it down a little deeper because after I saw the number, it was very alarming. So I printed the data out for attendance by student. And after I did that, a total of 103 out of those 201 students missed one day. So that's 51% of those students who only missed one day. 62 out of 201 of those students missed 2 days. So that's 31% of the students who missed 2 days. 23 out of 201 missed 3 days, which is 11% of the students who missed 3 days. And 13 out of 201 students missed 4 or more days, which is 700% of students who have excessive absenteeism. And the process for absenteeism at Davis is if students miss 2 consecutive days, the teachers reach out to the parents, to see what's going on, why the students are missing. If students miss 3 days, the teachers submit those students' names to our clerk, and then our clerk reaches out to the parent. If the student misses 3 or more days, or if at any point the teacher or the clerk cannot reach the parent, then those names are passed on to me, and then I reach out to the parents via call, email, or any way that I can to reach out to those parents. If I can't reach the parent and communicate, and the students have excessive absenteeism, those names are submitted to our truancy officer. And we also have an attendance tier for students who have excessive absenteeism, where the teachers, we meet with the MTSS team, and we try to devise a plan to get those students to be present at school.
Okay, thank you.
Any other question, board member?
I have a question, Madam
Go
President.
ahead.
How have you handled that COVID-19 in your building, Ms. Bush?
The first thing I did was call Mr. Johnson, and I notified him first, just to make sure that I was going to follow the correct procedures. I then notified the parent because there was one student who was in the classroom with the teacher, but they were 6 feet apart and they both did have their mask on the entire time. After that, the teacher is at home quarantined for those 14 days, and the student is also at home. The custodial staff also went in with the foggers, and they fogged the rooms, and we wiped down all of the desks as well.
Question, Madam President.
Go ahead.
43% of students in 5th grade math proficient. Can you give me an exact number of that particular population?
Let me flip back to my notebook. There are a total of 50 5th grade students. So I'm thinking that may have been that's between maybe around 16, 17 students.
Out of 50?
Ma'am.
You said 50?
We have a total of 50.
Okay.
So around 16 or 17 of those 50 students score proficient or advanced.
question.
You're welcome.
Madam President.
Any other questions for, Davis? Just for the record, board members, Mrs. Abraham and I just did, a school walkthrough on, I think it was last week, so Mrs. Abraham and I might not have questions just because they know, they can tell you that we thoroughly asked them questions, and we would like to give a shout out to each school for the COVID-19 protocol that you all have in place. Thank you, Ms. Roy, and thank you, Mrs. Bush. At this time, Amanda Elsie, Junior High, that would be Mrs. Katasha Brown.
Good afternoon, you all.
Good evening.
Any questions, board members?
Question, Madam President.
Go ahead.
Ms. Brown, 8th science proficiency. Can you give me the total number of 8th graders in your building?
I have exactly 110 eighth graders in my building.
I'm just looking at the percentage and trying to calculate the percentage based on total population. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions, board members? All right, thank you, Mrs. Brown. Bankston Elementary, Mr. Glenn Stevens. Any question, board members? Well, I'm waiting on them, Mr. Stevens. Did you get rid of those bees in the front? Mr.
Hello.
Hi. Did you get rid of those bees and wasps and honeybees?
I haven't seen a bee all week, so I think they just moved on their own.
Okay. Board members, do you have any questions? No questions, board members? Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Claudine Brown Elementary, Ms. Tara Harris.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
No questions, board members?
One question, Madam President.
Go ahead, Dr. Moore.
Ms. Harris, how many pre-K
Yes.
students are located in your building?
Right now, we only have, 6 that come on a day, on Mondays and Wednesday, but our enrollment is 14, Dr. Moore.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
This is East Elementary. Mr. Lucas is on page 13. Any questions for East? We didn't see Mr. Lucas when we, Mrs. Abraham and I did not see Mr. Lucas. We met with the assistant principal while we were there. Do you have any questions, Ms. Abraham?
No.
Board members?
Mr. Lucas,
Yes, ma'am.
so you have, 175 students who have been absent for the month of March. How are you addressing this?
Well, when the students begin to miss, especially if they miss a couple of days in a row, since the beginning of the year, we've had teachers to call, our counselors have been calling, and then I've been calling myself to try to get as many of them to come to school as possible. Once that fails or doesn't happen, then we do report it to our truancy officer. And then we've also we will send letters home in the mail when we send on the progress reports and report card as well.
So when you report these to the state attendance officer, what kind of feedback are you getting? Are they being adjudicated in court?
One more. I have not gotten any follow-up as far as how many of them that he's taken to court, that have gone to court. Sometimes when they call, we get an influx of calls saying that they may have technology issues. And so we'll address those technology issues the best way we can. And if those students are not able to come because of technology issues, then we will send them home fax, and then have them to email the teachers as well so we can send them home instruction until we're able to get them their technology issues fixed.
Mr. Lucas, I would like for you to expound on the weaknesses in 3rd grade ELA and 4th grade math. 3rd grade math as well. I'm sorry, 3rd grade math and 3rd grade ELA. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, as far as the weaknesses in 3rd grade math, it's only 4% of our students that score proficient. We have a large amount that are scoring in the minimum and basic range. And then that's the same thing pretty much for 4th grade math. One had 11% proficient as well. So what we've done is we set up tutorial on Tuesdays and Thursdays where we're remediating those students what we call test prep. And we work with them on the priority standards, the standards that they need to try to score as close to a 4 as possible on the state test. So that's what we're doing as far as those weaknesses in 3rd grade math and 4th grade math. So a lot of the students are having problems with multiplication tables and dividing. So those are some of the main things we're working on in tutorials as well.
And how long have
it's
you?
Sort of the basics of.
How long have you been having test prep?
Since right after spring break.
Okay, you know, of course.
It actually started the week after spring break.
Dr. Brown, so if I am a student in a school and I'm continuing to have technology issues, am I allowed to come to the actual campus?
Yes, you are. And I did have a question for Mr. Lucas. Approximately how many students of these 175, if these are, this may be 175 individual students or maybe multiple absences by the same student. But with this number, how often are you getting students who have technology issues who are using, having this as a reason for them not to report to class?
Well, out of that 175, it is about 20 who are waiting on Chromebooks or hotspots. So, out of the rest of them, I don't have the information in front of me as far as how many of those 175 are just repeaters or not, but I do know the ones that don't have technology.
So the 20 who don't have technology, are they in the number of the students, are they included in the number of the students who are actually reporting to the physical building?
No, ma'am, they're not. Actually, when they don't have technology and they call and let us know, we don't, mark them actually because we're giving them instruction through instructional packs.
So out of the 20 who have technology issues, the students who are currently reporting to East, are any of those 20 reporting to your physical building?
Out of those 20, it's about 6 that are actually coming into the building.
So my suggestion is that if you have, especially those 20, it should be mandatory. I will have a conversation with the parents. They need to be inside of the classrooms and to speak with Dr. Pulley to see what's the status on those particular Chromebooks. But I would speak to those parents and just let them know that those individuals do need to be in the classroom. And one thing that I'm hearing, and I'm saying it out loud so we can remember, is to get the truancy officers. I do know that We have had some parents to call to complain that they did receive letters from court. So I do know that the truancy officers are in those cases issuing those, but just to get an update from the truancy officers regarding student attendance.
So Dr. Brown, what is the technology issue? Are we not giving out Chromebooks, or we don't have any available? What's the problem?
No, we have Chromebooks, and that would be my question for Mr. Lucas at this point. You know, how long have these 20 students been without Chromebooks, and for Dr. Puller as well, if he was aware, or are you aware that there were issues at East Elementary?
No, ma'am. We have Chromebooks available, and when we sometimes we do have, of course, we have repairs that we have to make. But when we're making those repairs, then there is a Chromebook to replace it until the repairs are made.
So, Mr. Lucas, have these students ever been issued a Chromebook, or are they being fixed, or what's the problem?
They're in the process of getting fixed, and I'm waiting on them to be returned.
How long have they been waiting, Mr. Lucas?
About 3 weeks.
So, Mr. Lucas, do you have any loaner Chromebooks for these students, or have you reached out to Dr. Pulley to get a loaner Chromebook, or loaner Chromebooks for these students until they're replaced?
No, ma'am, I don't have any Chromebooks. I haven't reached out to Dr. Pulley, but I have reached out to Mr. Storms, and he's been working on it, but he hasn't had the opportunity to give me any.
Mr. Lucas, I just made myself a note. Make sure those students have a Chromebook. Tomorrow, I'll make sure that I set aside those numbers, and someone can come to the services building to pick them up.
Yes, sir.
Greenwood High School. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'd like to know the numbers of students in the 3rd grade.
Ms. Abraham wants to know, Mr. Lucas, the number of students that you have in 3rd grade.
105.
Now, the 105 students, we're looking at a 4% proficiency rate in math, and
She said out of that 105 students you have a 4% rate in, is that math? 3rd grade math.
Right, and then 12% in ELA.
And then 12% in it.
Could that be attributed, Madam President, may I? Mr. Lucas, could that be attributed to the Chromebook issue?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Lucas?
I just want to say, Mr. Lucas, job well done on getting your students some Chromebooks tonight.
All right, thank you.
Greenwood High School, Mr. Barron Clark. Board members.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, sorry.
Good evening. We didn't get to see you either, Mr. Clark, Ms. Abraham and I, but Mr. Charles Johnson took us on a grand tour of Greenwood High School. Any questions for Mr. Clark?
Mr. Clark, okay, I see percentages. I didn't see them at first. I apologize.
Any questions, board members? If no questions, Greenwood Middle School, Mr. Kevin Mays.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Mays.
Mr. Mays,
Yes, ma'am.
so I'm looking at the MTSS document. So you don't have any students in the academic tiers?
You said, do I have any student in the academic tier? Yes, we do. It's not reported on there.
I only see 20 under tier 2 for behavior.
But those 20 should be in both academic and behavior. Part of the 20 in academic behavior is attendance. And so a lot of those students who are not reporting to school, we have in the MTSS process, but those 20 students also should be in academic tier 2.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mays,
Yes, ma'am.
I see a percentage rate for 8th grade science. What have we put in place to assist 8th graders with science?
With science proficiency, my instructional coach is pulling priority groups, those students who have already been showing proficiency on our benchmark assessment, and also those students who we would consider to be bubble students. And the thing is about 102 students that we are pulling for priority grouping to just, see if we can increase their proficiency number.
How many 8th grade science teachers are in your building?
Say that again, I didn't hear you.
How many 8th grade science teachers are in your building?
2.
How many students do you have in 8th grade?
208.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, board members? LaFleur County Elementary School.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's my short-term memory, Ms. Smith. April Smith is the principal at LaFleur County Elementary School. Board members, do you have any questions?
Ms. Smith, in regard to student absences,
Yes, ma'am.
would your situation somewhat mirror Ms. Bush's issue
Yes.
at Davis?
Yes, because a lot of them those are excused and unexcused. And out of that 107, 44 only had like one absence. But those include unexcused and excused.
Okay, so what's the percentage rate of this particular category of students on 3 or more days absence, or maybe 4? You gave me 44 with 1 day, excused or unexcused.
It was 63 that had 2, anywhere from 2 to 3. I didn't do like an actual breakdown of it.
Thank you.
Ms. Smith, do you have any who are reporting technology issues?
We do have some, but now with the absence, they come and pick up an instructional pack, and as long as they are picking up those instructional packs and returning those, we don't count it as an absence because we realize that it's a technology issue, so we don't mark them absent due to that.
Ms. Smith, can you speak to the students that are having the technology issues and what is being done to rectify those issues?
You said, do I speak to the students?
No, can you speak to the students that have technology issues? Can you tell us about that and what is being done to address those issues?
The students who have technology issues, once it's been reported, Ms. King, the secretary, sends out a list to all teachers informing them of the students who may have device issues, or whether it's hotspot, or sometimes, you know, they have issues when it's the weather. So then Ms. King then also emails Mr. Storms to inform him. We do have several devices that have been sent out for repairs, and we did get 12 of those devices returned on yesterday. So 12 of those students did get their devices back on yesterday, or we're still waiting on parents to come to the school to retrieve those devices.
Any other questions, board members? LaFleur County High School. The man himself, Mr. Russell, who was very professional and nice to the board when we came to visit on last week. Very clean school. Any questions for Mr. Russell, board members?
Mr. Russell, are you having Chromebook issues at the high school?
Not on a wide scale. How we handle our technology issues, once the student informs us about the technology issue, they bring it in, and we will give them a loaner Chromebook or a loaner device, and they can use that while their device is out for repair.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Russell, what are you doing? I see you only have 17 student absences.
Well, Dr. Moore, we make phone calls every day, all day.
Mr. Russell, that Ms. Lewis.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Lewis. I'm so sorry. Yes, ma'am. What we do, Ms. Lewis, is we make phone calls all day. The first step, once a student misses the class, we send out an email to that student and the student's parent, the same email they use to register in school. And once they miss 2 classes, then the attendance clerk, she will call every student that is absent for that day. After the attendance clerk makes the call, she gives me a list of all the absences, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I make calls to the parents, informing them that the child has missed class, just so they can be informed. So it's working. The teachers are reaching out to everyone, and we're getting kids to come. Those 17 absences we have, those are our chronic absentee kids. And what we did with that, we sent home letters in the mail, and we gave our school resource officers the same letter, and they delivered it to the house.
Any other questions, board members? Same answer you gave me, Ms. Abraham, Mr. Russell, so we believe you.
Yes, ma'am. I try to be consistent.
Thank you for such an inviting spirit.
Yes,
Threadgill Elementary School, Mrs. Valerie Williams, who shows so much hospitality to the board. Any questions, board members?
Ms. Williams, any Chromebook issues at Threadgill?
Ms. Williams, I don't see any percentages in regard to science, ELA, or math.
Okay, I have those with me. I did not include that on the document, but I do have them. For 3rd grade ELA, we had 39% proficiency. For 4th grade ELA, we had 15% proficiency. For 5th grade, we had 34% proficiency, and we did not have any proficiencies for 6th grade ELA. For math, we had 18% 3rd grade proficiency. 4th grade, we had 10%, and 5th grade, we had 47%, and 6th grade, we did not have any proficiency. 6th grade has been our problem grade throughout the whole year.
So report out again those no proficiencies. Report that out one more time. I heard 2.
The no proficiencies were in 6th grade math and 6th grade ELA.
How many students do you have in 6th grade?
6th grade, I have 67 students.
So that means out of 67 students, not one was proficient?
No, ma'am. We had about 10 that were right at the 3B level, which is right before you get to proficiency, but no one scored proficiency on this last assessment.
What were the gains? Even up
The
to
gain?
3B, yes. Even up to 3B.
Well, the gains was about 25% because previously those students that scored 3B had scored 2A or less during the first 9 weeks assessment, the second 9 weeks assessment. So there were gains in 6th grade, but not to the point of proficiency.
Ms. Williams, I apologize if I didn't hear your response, but are you having any Chromebook or technical issues at 3 Guild?
No, sir, we don't have any issues with Chromebooks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I don't see one for Threadgill Primary, but we know that Threadgill Primary is next. Don West, who was also so hospitable to the board on our visit with a very bright and clean school. Any questions for Don West, board members? We don't have anything to ask you, Ms. West, because we don't have any papers.
Good evening, everyone.
We don't have any paper from you, Ms. West. Is that because you got the babies?
Oh, no, ma'am. I submitted a paper.
Dr. Fuller has it. Her paper was submitted after the deadline.
Okay.
Madam President, if you may, Ms. West, I'm open to you. You can go ahead and tell me about, what you have on your document if you would like, or any highlights or low points.
Okay. As far as data is concerned, currently we are completing our MCAS testing. Tomorrow we will be doing some makeup testing for those kindergartners and kindergartners and pre-K students, that did not complete MCAS testing. So at the next meeting, I'll be able to present current data for those students. On my report, I did put some iReady data where I did highlight our kindergarten students at the end of the year, their goal as far as reading is concerned. We're looking for them to score a scale score of 362 to 479. So in comparing the fall scores to the winter scores, in the fall, we had 88% in green, and in the winter, which is when the students return from the Christmas break, it increased to 95% in green, which is the goal for iReady. Also with kindergarten iReady math, in the fall, which was the beginning of school, we had 77% of our students, kindergarten students, in green, and they grew actually when we returned from Christmas to 86%. First grade, we're looking at a growth from 48% in green fall ELA to 54%, and we are struggling a little bit there, but we are working. And first grade math, we moved from 41% in green in the fall to 53% after Christmas. As far as areas that need improvement school-wide, we're looking at math. That's with iReady, as well as our third 9 weeks assessment. We do have a math action plan that focuses on standards that we make sure are in our weekly resource packets, as well as a part of our first grade and kindergarten bell ringers. Also increase observations in math. And then at the onset of each K and first grade instructional period, the assistants from 7:45 to a little bit after 8 have to have engaging activities for the students, where we're also pulling in some of those focus standards for math. We've established our P16 council. Currently, they're working on end of the year incentives for students.
I think Ms. Lewis has a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. West, how many students do you have in your building each day?
Each day, normally our face-to-face, normally on Mondays and Wednesdays, we're looking at first grade and kindergartners. So we're looking at maybe 68 students. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have our pre-K students to come face-to-face, and it's approximately 35 students.
And what's your total enrollment?
Total enrollment is pre-K 68, K 94, first grade 79 students, which gives us a total of 243.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. West?
I have one question. Ms. West, in your assessment results, you have the color words green and yellow. Can you delineate what those words mean? Out beside your percentages.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Those students that are green, which I said is our goal, those are students that we consider tier 1 students. They're scoring pretty much where they should be as first graders and kindergartners. Those students that are in the yellow are what we call tier 2 students. And we know that tier 2 students are these students that are scoring in yellow, are those students that we really need to get a hold on to, all of the students, but definitely those students in yellow, because they do have a chance to move to green, which is where our goal is, but they can also easily move to at-risk students, which would be in the red.
How do the colors translate to proficiency?
Ms. West, Ms. Abraham wants to know about your color coding. How does that translate to proficiency? She wants to know that. Is it just a system you use for yourself?
As far as
she wants to know about the color coding.
Now you were chopping up a little bit.
She just wants to know about your color coding.
Yes, ma'am. So each grade level has a goal where, according to iReady, where our students should be by the end of the year. For kindergarten, we're looking, just for as an example, we're looking for students in iReady to score a scale score of 362 to 479. So at the end of the school year, if a student lands at a 362, which is green, the goal, supposedly this student is going to be well prepared to go to the next grade level. So if it's kindergarten, that student will be well prepared for first grade. And the closer they get to that top scale score, which would be a 479, the better they are prepared for the next grade. So each subject has a goal for students, and each grade level has a goal for students. By the end of the year, these students will be proficient and ready for the next grade level if they score a scale score of, depending on the grade level.
So here, Madam President.
So green would be proficient for our red.
And what is the scale score for yellow, Ms. West? Ms. West, can you hear me? Ms. West?
Yes, ma'am.
What is the scale score for yellow?
Yellow, those students.
Below 362, I'm assuming?
I would have to go into our, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I see what you're saying. Yes, ma'am.
Any other question, board members? Principals, we thank you so much for bearing with us. We had company, 2 presentations before you all, and we pray the next time that we won't make you all past your dinner time, and we thank you all for being so enthused to report to us, and we appreciate all you do for the Greenwood LaFleur Consolidated School District. Thank you and good night. Dr. Brown.
So we move to tab number 3, academic data review. Dr. Penny.
On page 82, I think it's probably on the back of, right before the tablet. You'll see the state report card 2018-2019 for the state of Mississippi. This helps kind of to answer the question from the last meeting. If you see it's separated into proficient math and ELA. It's separated into proficiency, growth, and then growth lowest 25% for math and English, and then other measures. It includes U.S. history proficiency, science proficiency, and then the college and career readiness involves the students' scores on the ACT. The acceleration percentage includes the percentage of students scoring at the benchmark for the dual enrollment courses. And then graduation rate, of course, is the percent of students who graduate in 4 years on time. English learners, this is the percentage of the those students who where English would be a second language. This tracks those students' progress toward proficiency from year to year. If you turn to the next page, this is on page 83. This is the detailed assessment and other data for student performance for each of those levels. And while I'm on this particular page, if you notice, it does say level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. That is the format that the MDE will release the test scores on this year. And that's the only format that we will receive. We will receive level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We will not receive the data in the format that is on the previous page that shows the growth of lowest 25%. Due to a lack of data from last year in order to calculate it. On the back of that, page 84, we just wanted to attach some documents here. And these are the last report cards, state report cards that we have as a district. So page 84 through 87 will show, and of course it was separated at the time, so that's why it's presented in that manner. if you look on page 88, we try to copy and paste our districts there so we could see a comparison of those numbers as well. So on the left-hand side, and I think on the left-hand side, it was the former LaFleur County School District. On the right-hand side, the former Green Park. So if you go to page 90, the Office of Academics has created a PowerPoint presentation, and we are definitely, what we want to do is, and it was established out of our meeting. Just wanted to answer a few questions that you all had, and what we would like to do is so that we could spend some time in really reviewing our academic data to provide some greater understanding surrounding proficiency, surrounding growth, surrounding the accountability model. We would love if we could, if the Office of Academics could schedule time to meet with you all in an individual basis, so that we can answer some of those questions that you especially had as we presented on the last time. So we would love to do that. And we will definitely contact you if you would like to do so. If you turn to, and we're going to move through this fairly quickly, but definitely we want to give you an in-depth review of what's going on. On page 94, it gives an overview of the Mississippi statewide accountability model. We know that the State Board of Education established a letter grade system for all schools and districts based on student performance, and that's an A through F system. On page 95, it explains that the Mississippi School and District Grading System considers several indicators, including how well students perform on state tests, which is